Welcome back, my name's Steve and thank you for joining me today on my photography journey. I am back from Norway, but before I can even work out what's going on with the nearly 5,000 pictures that I have taken, I want to take a bit of time to talk about this. And what is this? This is my ReMarkable. This is, well, basically, it's one of these and one of these, and it cost a lot more than these. So why am I talking about it today? And I actually bought my ReMarkable in March of this year. So in the next few days, I will have reached 100 days with it. Now, why is that important? The makers of ReMarkable, they offer a 100-day money-back guarantee, basically. It's their quality assurance satisfaction guarantee. And if you buy directly from them, they give you the option of any time in that first 100 days to be able to return it for free, get your money back, and kind of no questions asked. So I thought this was a very good time coming up to the end of those 100 days to do a bit of a review of it, see how I found it, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, how it compares to good old pen and paper, and at the end, talk about whether I'll be returning it or not. So in case you're not sure what it is, I have made a video previously where I first unboxed it, first used it, and some of my impressions from it. So go and have a look at that. That'll give you a bit of background for it. However, at its most basic, it is a notebook. It's a notebook and a pen. So you get a, they call it a marker. This is actually the Marker Plus. And the idea is that you use it as a notebook. There's no distractions on the tablet. There's no web pages that you can look at. There's no games to play. There's no bright, fancy colors. There's no Instagram. So you can just use it to write things down. But unlike paper and pen, it's backed up to the cloud. You can incorporate it into different workflows with different programs. So for example, I've previously traveled for work. And with that, I've had to create meeting agendas, review spreadsheets and PowerPoint presentations and things like that. And I can do that all on here. From PowerPoint, I can send it to ReMarkable. It appears on here as a presentation, basically a PDF of that presentation. You can make notes on it. You can write whatever you like on there, basically. And it's a really good way of working on things. You don't get distracted by your email. You don't get distracted by the whole of the internet. So if you're anything like me, it's ideal for actually focusing on a task and being able to do it, which is a lot easier than with a paper notebook. You can't really do that other than printing out the entire presentation, making your notes on it and things like that. That is the alternative. So it's a little bit more than just a notebook because of those different features. It uses e-ink, so basically like a Kindle. What you can see on the Kindle screen is the same on this as well. I keep looking down because that's where it is. My writing on there is about what to talk about with it. So that's one of my main uses. I like to make notes of different videos that I want to make, different points that I want to cover during those videos, and sometimes the entire script is in there as well. What I can also do is then send that as a PDF document somewhere else, copy and paste it as an image, convert it from my handwriting into typed text, all of these different options, which you can't do with a paper notebook and pen. So how does it do that? It's got Wi-Fi built into it, so you can connect to a network, a hotspot from a phone, and transfer things from here into the cloud so that they're backed up. Transfer them. You can send things by email. That's the other thing. You can, for example, this page of writing, I can, if I want to get this, send it as a PDF via email to whoever I want, which is really useful at times, particularly, like I said, working on presentations. If you're making notes for someone else, then you can make the notes on here. Yes, everything's in black and white on here, but you do have the option of choosing different color pens. So if you make a note in red, it will appear gray on the tablet itself, on the ReMarkable, but once you email that to someone else, it will appear as red. So it's easy to make changes, make annotations on a PowerPoint that you want someone else to edit. And I think alongside that, one of the biggest benefits is that everything's backed up. So if you left this somewhere, if it fell in a puddle, you might lose everything. If you lost your ReMarkable, if you dropped it in a puddle, yes, you'd be upset because you'd spent a lot of money on it, but all of your work would actually be safe. So a couple of times now I've mentioned that it's expensive compared to a notebook. So a notebook, £10, £20 maybe, and a pen for about the same. So at the most for a nice notebook and a nice pen, you're kind of looking at about £50. This was a little bit more than that. So the tablet itself, let me just take it out of its case. Tablet itself is really thin, really light and easy to carry. There's not much to it. There's no cameras or anything like that, no fingerprint readers, but this costs about £300. And that's all you get for your £300 is just the tablet itself. I then bought the Marker Plus, which is another £120. The difference between this one and just the standard marker is that this has an eraser on the end, so you can be writing, turn the pencil around and then erase, and you've got rid of what you're writing. It's a little bit heavier, which I quite like, and it's got a ridge along the side of it, which means that it's just a little bit easier to hold. Then alongside that, I've also bought this, which is a cover for it, and everything just kind of magnetizes in. So the tablet attaches in, pencil attaches to the side, and it's a nice light combination. But the cover itself was another £120. So the tablet is £300, the pencil is £120, and the cover is £120. So you're actually looking at about £540 for everything. I got a refurbished one rather than a brand new one, so it was slightly cheaper than that, but it didn't make a huge difference, to be honest. So yes, it's a lot of money to spend on a notebook, but that's something that you need to weigh up with the benefits that come with it. So like I said, there's different pencils you can use, there's different ink colors, there's highlighters, there's markers, there's paint, there's calligraphy pens, and then you've got different thicknesses, different colors. So there's a lot of options for the writing tool that you use. Well, the writing tool that appears on the paper anyway. This is the only tool that you actually use to write with. It does feel a lot more like writing on paper than I was expecting it to. Before I used this, I was using an Apple Pencil and an iPad. That was mainly for my work notes. So if I was in a meeting, that's how I would take notes, save them into OneNote and keep them digitally that way. But the experience of writing with an Apple Pencil on an iPad screen was not very good. I didn't like it at all. It was too slippery. Your hand could change things as you were writing, and it just didn't work as well as I wanted it to. So I kept going back to using pen and paper. But then I had the problem of not being able to keep it digitally and to be able to transfer easily my writing into the digital notes that I always keep. I like things digitally because you can search for things. So you don't have to be really organized and remember, oh, in my blue notebook on page 300 was the notes from this meeting. I can put it into OneNote or Notion, and then I can just type into the search the name of a particular meeting, the name of someone that was in there, or part of a topic that we were discussing, and it will find those meetings, it will find those notes so that I can find exactly what I need. And to me, the time that is saved by doing that is worth the time and effort and expense of using a digital tablet for it. So how do I use it on a day-to-day basis? And it is exactly that. It's taking notes in meetings, it's making corrections to documents, it's annotating on spreadsheets, on PowerPoint presentations, and it is writing. So for these videos, all of my scripts start off on my ReMarkable or previously on pen and paper. And what I would do is have a bit of a summary of what I wanted to talk about, a few notes about the key points, and then from there go into more detail with things, expand on things so that everything that I wanted to talk about was in one place, and I was able then to use that to either type up my script so that it could go onto my teleprompter and have it as notes while I was recording the episode. But now with the ReMarkable, that's all a lot easier. I can write it all out. If I realise that I've not added a piece of information in, I can move the text out of the way so that I can then add in another paragraph. Not something that you can easily do with pen and paper. And then from there, I can develop that script, expand on different points and things, move them around. If there's one particular paragraph which I think should go a bit later, if there's something that I want to remove completely or add in, then that's easy to do because of the flexibility of it being digital. You can move things around. It's that easy. And then once I've got everything right, I can export it as a PDF. I can transfer it into type text, whatever is the best way for me at that particular time. One of the things that I do like to do is export things as a PDF into Notion. And then my Notion is set up as my second brain, which I think I've talked about in the past. If not, I will talk about in the future. But all that is everything that I want to remember or refer back to, I keep it in Notion so that I can search through there, find what I want, and then use that to form my scripts, to form my knowledge that I need for a particular task or project. And being able to have it digitally, have it searchable, means I don't have to remember these things. I don't have to find a bit of paper that I've written an idea down on. It's all in one simple place for me to find. So that's how I do my YouTube videos, my personal life, home life, that kind of thing. And then for work, basically the same idea, but using OneNote on Windows, because that's what we use at work. And the same idea, everything is kind of kept in there, all my work ideas and everything is in there. But from my ReMarkable, I could send it to OneNote, I could send it to Notion, and then yes, there's a copy on here, but this isn't where I particularly search for it. It's in those other two second brains, or second and third brain, I guess it must be. So if you have watched this far, then you probably know the answer to the question of whether I'm going to keep it or not. It's a resounding yes. To be honest, I think the ReMarkable is one of the best purchases that I've ever made. I've used it every single day of the last nearly 100 days, and it's added value to my life for those days. So at the risk of sounding far too much like an advert for it, I think it's a great thing. It works really well for me, and I'm really, really happy with the purchase. However, it's £500, which is a lot of money. So that is something that you have to decide individually if that is something that you want to spend that much money on. I think that the difference in price is worth it. For me, personally, I had that money available, I'd saved up for it, so I could buy it. I wouldn't recommend getting into debt for it, but saving up for it, buying it when you can afford it, that's the way to do it. It's one of those things that I think is really valuable, and I'm really glad that I've purchased it. So that was a look at the ReMarkable. I'll be back next week to talk more about photography. And as you might have guessed, the script for that will be written on my ReMarkable. It's underway at the moment. What I'm going to do is look at some of the pictures that I've taken from Norway. Like I said, about 5,000 or so. And I am going to try and tell a bit of a story about the trip and what I saw, what I took pictures of, the different places that we visited, and allow you to come along on that trip with me. So until then, have a great week, and I will see you again next week on my photography journey. Bye.